Okie dokie. Okay. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello, everyone. Those of you that are up at the 10:30 hour, that's just about where we are. It's Lady Victoria this evening with Victoria School of Etiquette. I am your etiquette educator and your worthy life coach, broadcasting to you live this late evening from the great windy city of Chicago. Chi-Town is what we like to call it. We are the best in the Midwest, and I'm really happy to have you be a part of our platform on this late evening. I am again in the evening edition of my broadcast. It's just been, things have just been so different. I've not been able to get on in the morning as early as I like, but I really don't want to close out the day without coming on and sharing my thoughts with you. So those of you that are up and available, please join me on this evening. Let me know where you are tuning in from, what city you are in, or what state that you are in. And please like and share across your social media platforms. That is appreciated. Those of you that are watching me live, thank you so very much for taking time out of your evening to do so. And for those of you that will catch the replay, I appreciate you doing that as well. For my YouTube subscribers, thank you so much for following Victoria School of Etiquette. And for those of you that have not joined us, please go on over. It's Victoria School of Etiquette, as I said, by the same name as this show, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you have the privilege of watching every show at your convenience. So, it's Thursday. It's still Thursday. And I just wanted to come on and just share a little bit of my Thursday thoughts with you on this evening. I won't go long. I was on late last night and went a little longer than I wanted to. So I won't do the same on tonight. But I did just want to share Thursday thoughts are just the things that are rambling around in my head from day to day, week to week. And some of them I like to share with you. Just also to see your feedback and to get it out of my head. I think it's worthy. So, my thought on this week, I entitled this one, A Matter of Changing Your Thinking. What if you had the ability to do that? That's not really a what if question because we all have the ability to change our mind. At any given moment, we can decide that we're going to change our mind in the moment, in that instance. Sometimes we know that we're going to change our minds, but we don't do it right then, we do it later. And so when we do so, we come out of a certain way of thinking and enter into another realm of thinking that's oftentimes completely opposite of what we were originally thinking in the first place. And so, with everything that's going on with the sheltering in place and, all of that that's going on and shortages of mask and hand sanitizer, and now there's going to be a shortage of certain meats because of closing down the packing houses, and things will be different once again at the end of this month as some of the states begin to open up again, begin to open up slowly. Things are going to begin to open up again. And, we'll regain some of the privileges that we have lost during this pandemic and during this sheltering in place. But what if you could change your mind? I mean, how do you think about it? What do you think about it? So many people are still caught up in the entire fear of COVID-19, and some people are caught up in just the fear itself. Um, and so it prohibits us from moving about the way that we normally would. It prohibits us from doing things that we normally would do. I just said earlier this evening about celebrating Mother's Day weekend. Um, that it's not like I can go out and have dinner in a movie as I probably would have done had we not been in this position. But things are different now. And so, as human beings, we have a unique privilege of adapting to our situations and adapting to our circumstances. And we find ourselves doing that, whether we like to or whether we want to or not. It's being kind of forced upon us, but it's for the greater good of society at large. So I said all that to try and set things up um, for this one question. What if you could change your mind about how you feel about the pandemic? And this is basically for people that may have a negative thought about it. Oh, this is so terrible. Oh, I can't go any place. Oh, I can't do anything. I can't do the things that I used to do. And I know I just made that statement myself, but I'm not bothered by it. I'm not bothered by the fact that I can't go out and have dinner and a movie. I can still have a great Mother's Day weekend. And let me pause right here and say an early happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that might be watching or that might be, be able to access this video later. Happy Mother's Day to you early. And to all of the wonderful husbands and significant others and children and grandchildren and family and friends that will help to make this Mother's Day weekend just as special as any other, even though we don't have the capability to go out and be amongst family and friends as we normally would. It's still going to be a fantastic Mother's Day, especially for you. Again, I'm extending that to you. And let me also pause right here and also say thank you to all of our wonderful first responders, those that are on the front lines, that are taking care of some of our family, friends, loved ones, friends of friends, family members that may not be family by blood, but those that we have adopted to be a part of our family as well for whatever reason. It might be a next door neighbor that you've grown up with that was always there. It might be, your old babysitter or a school teacher or whomever it is. Whomever it is, thank you to our first responders that are on the lines every day, putting their lives at risk. Let's continue to pray for them, to lift them up before the Lord. Those of you that are of the Christian faith and belief, and those of you that believe in the power of prayer, let's do that for those that are out there because we never know what's going to happen from day to day. We are yet living under grace, and we're just grateful for them. We're truly, truly grateful for them. So, on behalf of Victoria School of Etiquette and VL Enterprises, I personally want to say thank you to all of the first responders, some that I know, so many others that I do not across this nation. But thank you. Thank you for giving. Thank you for your service. Thank you for putting your life on the line for all of the rest of us. So, with that being said, what if you could change your mind? Who is the one person that can really truly shut down the world, the entire world? So many of us have said that it's been Donald Trump, that it's been the government, that it's been science, it's been, all these other various things, biological warfare, blah, blah. Whatever whatever it is, however it happened, you know what? God has allowed it. He has allowed it to happen. And so when we're thinking about how terrible it is and how we want things to change and how they need to change things, how they need to stop doing this to us, these are some of the things that I hear on a daily basis. On a daily basis, I hear different people, some of the same people that are saying the same thing over and over again. They need to make a change. It's getting warmer outside. We need to be able to go outside. We need to be able to do this. We need to be able to do that. What if you could change your mind about those thoughts? What if you could not have those thoughts? Or what if you just decided to just change your mind about what you're thinking? What would it then look like? Would you be less anxious? Would you be less worried? Would you be less fearful? Would you be a bit more at peace? Would you be satisfied with self, with the choice and the decision that you made? Would it allow you to see the entire world differently? Because you can't just look at where you are. Because again, this is something that's happening the world over. So you can't just relegate it to your own personal space and say that this is happening to you. It is happening to all of us. And so, what if we were able to change our minds? What if we were able to change our thoughts? What if we were able to see this entire thing through the eyes of the one who is always in charge of everything? What if we could see it through the eyes of our Creator, through the eyes of our God, through the eyes of our Lord, our Savior? What if we could see it through His eyes? instead of our own, what would it look like to you then? How would you feel about it then? If you could see it through God's lens instead of through your own, I dare say it most certainly would be different. Because as anxious as we are, and as fearful as some of us are, and as impacted as we all feel, it would be different. It absolutely would be different. Can you imagine? Let's just imagine your father, your natural father, the one that helped to bring you in this world. Can you imagine what his thoughts were like before you were born? Can you imagine him being excited at this tiny little life that he had a part in creating, that he had a part of being responsible for bringing into this world? Can you imagine how excited he was to know that his seed was coming forth? And then to know that he had a responsibility to shape that seed, to help it to grow, to water it, to nurture it, to love it, to teach it right from wrong, good from bad. You know, can you imagine what he felt like? He was happy. He was ecstatic. He had such high hopes for you. And then let's just say that over time, you changed. You were no more the bouncing little baby, girl or boy. You were no longer, the little one that he could run around and play with and do all of those things. But now you are a young adult. And now you're making your own choices and your own decisions. And some of them might not be popular with your dad. You're making choices that he might not agree with. How does he feel? Does it hurt his heart? Does it hurt his heart? Does it break his heart? Is he sometimes in the room crying, a full grown man with adult children? Is he disappointed? Does he feel kicked to the curb, kicked to the side, forgotten about, discarded? Perhaps he does. And perhaps he says, well, it'll get better. He won't continue to treat me this way. I know they will come around because I know what I put in them. They are, after all, my seed. Can you imagine that that's how God thinks about us? That we break his heart. We do. We break his heart sometimes. We cause him to cry sometimes. We cause him to be hurt. We cause him to feel pain. We cause him to feel like that he's been kicked to the curb, that he's been kicked to the side, and that nobody, that his children, they must not love me because they aren't doing the things that I've asked them to do. They must not. Good evening, Beatrice. They must not love me because they aren't being obedient. They aren't doing any of the things that I asked them to do. And he says, I'll wait. They'll get it together. I'll give them another chance. I'll give them another opportunity. And so he does. He gives us another opportunity. He gives us another chance. And we still don't get it quite right. And he gives us yet another chance. And we still don't get it quite right. He keeps trying because he has so much faith in us. He has so much belief in us. He knows that one day we'll get it right. And one day hasn't yet occurred. But he can't wait anymore because he has hundreds of thousands of millions of other children and would-be children that he has to attend to as well. Now, God being God, he's omniscient, he's omnipresent, he's all of those things. He can do multiple things all at the same time and give every single one of his children personalized individual attention. But then there comes a time when things have to change for the whole world. He just has to make one global change in order to get things to be better. And so this is the mindset that I've adopted. And what it look like if you adopted this same mindset to say, you know what, I can't look at this pandemic as being biological warfare. The government is out to kill us. They're trying to get rid of older people. They're trying to decrease the population. This was something that they created in the lab and they worked on it for so long. And now they released it and they didn't think it through. All of the things that people have been saying and have been thinking about this pandemic, have been thinking about what's going on, keeping everybody indoors, trying to flatten the curve, all of those things. So now here we are. Here we are. If you thought about it in a way that God loves us so much until he had to take the extreme measure of closing the world to help to bring us to our senses. Only a loving shepherd, only a loving father, a passionate and long suffering father, one full of love and compassion and mercy, would allow such an extreme measure to take place in the earth realm so that he would give us an opportunity one more again, as we say sometimes, one more again, he would give us the opportunity to get it right, to get it together. Because now you have no other choice. You have no other choice. You have nothing but time on your hands. For those of us that still want to work every day, that still have to show up and punch the clock or, whatever it is that we do, we show up for work every day. Do we still have just as much time as the next person who's sitting at home, no job, no responsibility other than their household ones and to take care of their children that may or may not be at home? Because you may have college children. What about those that don't have children? Do we have just as much time as they do? I'm still just as busy on my job. I'm still just as busy. And it's not to bring light to that, but it's just to say that even in spite of all this and in spite of all of those that are working from home, God bless you that you're able to do that. But I am not. So I still show up to work every day. Well, pardon me. And carry out my duties and responsibilities of the day. Well, what are my thoughts like? Am I thinking that now I have all of this free time and I can do this? I do have some free time. I do. Pardon me. But on a lot of days, it's just busy. On some days, it seems busier now than it did before. But I still have thoughts that go through my head. I still have things that I think about concerning this. So I still have to learn, and I have learned to flip it. Never bought into the fear from the beginning, but just flip it. Just think about how hurt God's heart must be that he's had to take this extreme measure to give us all a chance all over again. So it's hurtful to his heart, but at the same time, it gives us the opportunity for reconciliation that we may not have had before. I can't even imagine what things might have been like or might be like in the next 100 years should we survive that long. I'm going to be here in the next 100 years. I'd love to live to be a centennial. That's actually one of my prayers, to live to be a centennial. But in another 100 years, what will it be like for my grands or my great grands? Without God's intervention, without God's compassion, without his mercy. Could the world survive that long? I don't know. And if I were God, would I be able to put up with it as long as he has? I don't know. Would I be as compassionate as he has been? I don't know. Would I have been so long suffering? I don't know. Do you? Have you ever thought about that? Just think about it. What if you were in God's shoes? What would it look like to you? If you were God in the person, if any of us were God in the persons that we are now, oh my goodness, we would not have survived. We would not have survived this long. We just wouldn't have. I've never been a great mathematician. Math was never one of my top subjects in school, right? But even the greatest mathematicians, the Albert Einsteins of the world, can you figure out God's math? One day is as 1,000 years, 1,000 years is as a day. I don't think we can really date the earth. I don't really think we can date how long it's really been around. And it was around for a long time before we began keeping calendars, before we began making notes, all of those things before writing, forms of writing, hieroglyphics, you know, what was the other one? Cuneiform, I think. Before all of those things came into play, how long had the earth been around before then? I can't do the math. So, saying that to say, in all of this time, in all of these years, where we are now in 2020, how much progress have we really made as a human race, as a people, globally? How much progress have we really made? I don't know. I don't know. That's not for me to figure out. But I know that it is our 100th year anniversary because every 100 years something has happened. And, usually when things like this happen, we learn to adapt as a people. We evolve. We learn to adapt. We learn to do life better, to do life differently. And that's where we are now. People keep waiting for the new normal. And I keep saying we're already in it. We're already in the new normal right now. We're living it right now. So if you change your mind now about how things are and what they might be, I think it will be easier when you come to the full realization that this is it, at least for a season. This is not going away overnight. This won't change tomorrow. And it certainly won't change at the end of this month. There'll be more changes, there'll be more revisions. God forbid, but there may be more sheltering in place for the greater good. And so we as a people, we just have to adapt. We have to adapt. But what if you could just change your mind? What if you could just change your thinking? It's easier for some than it is for others. Those that had situations before all of this happened. Glasses back on now. Those that had situations before all of this happened, dealing with mental illness, dealing with abuse in the home, dealing with living at poverty level or under the poverty level, being grateful of the fact that your children can go to school so that they can have a midday meal, a morning meal, and a midday meal, and then you can scrap dinner together because some families that's all they have. So there's so many things that come into place when we think about this, when you really look at it. So I think that if we want to separate ourselves from the point of anxiety and fear and overthinking and all the what ifs and all of those things, we are individuals that have so much charge over our own lives. And so those things we can change. You can't change the external, what's going on out and around us, but you can change exactly where you are in the moment. As you move from space to space and place to place, you're still in charge of that moment, and you can still change it simply by changing your thinking. So, just a Thursday thought that's been running through my head this week and last week. But what if you could just change your thinking? It's just a matter of changing your mind. And again, I'd say that this will not be for everyone because not everyone can do it. Not everyone wants to do it. But for those of you that do, for those of you that want a little bit of a break from the anxiety and all of that, it's everywhere around us. COVID-19 is everywhere. You turn on your TV, it's there. You bring up your phone, it's there. You switch to another page, it's there. There's a banner at the top of every page that is telling you to subscribe so that you can get the updates of the coronavirus 19, so that you can be in the know, you can be in the loop, you can know what's going on. So it is. It's everywhere. It's in our newspapers. It's just everywhere. It just is. So we can't change that external thing, but you can change internal, because it's the external that's affecting how you're dealing with it internally. You are in charge of what's going on in your own belly, in your own gut, in your own mind. You are in charge of your own thoughts. So when a thought comes to you and you don't like it, you have the power to dismiss it and then form another one that you do like. That's the difference. I'm saying that it's really, really simple, but I know that it isn't that simple for everyone. But for those of you that can and will, that want to and that are able, please embrace it. You'll have a better day. You'll have a better day. You'll have a better week. And if you keep practicing it, you'll get better at it day by day, little by little. And don't read every single update. You don't have to watch every single broadcast that comes on. Certainly don't watch them on multiple channels. You will just be inundated with it, and it will take over your life. Make space and place to carve out things for yourself each and every day that's pleasing and satisfying to you. Something that brings you joy and that brings you peace. If it's a simple song, I had my dear friend Beatrice a little while ago that read the most beautiful poem, that sang two beautiful songs. Carve out space for yourself every day. Find something that you can do or say. Find something that you can be that's going to bring happiness to you. It's a matter of changing your mind. I'm Lady Victoria with Victoria School of Etiquette. Thank you so much for hanging in here with me for nearly 40 minutes. I appreciate it so very much. Again, please like and share across your various social media platforms. And if you want things to be better, if you want things to, I want to say, be better and you want to do better, it starts with you. So if you want to be better, decide that you will and then do so. It's been great chatting with you on this evening for the evening edition. Now, Friday nights I come on, and I haven't done it in a while, but it is time to bring back my bedtime chronicles. That's usually on Friday nights at about 10 o'clock. So the 10 o'clock hour is a time for that broadcast. So join me on tomorrow night as I talk about something that has nothing to do with COVID-19. We're going to talk about love and pleasure and what it's like to fall in love. What it's like to fall in love. What happens when your love is reciprocated? What happens when your love is not? And what happens when you love someone and they don't quite love you back the way that you're looking for? Not speaking the same love language. So join me on tomorrow night as I come on and talk about help. I'm in love with a married man. This is Lady Victoria chatting with you on tonight, signing off until the next time. Bye for now.